guest is our Attorney General, Rob Bonta. On April 23, 2021, Rob Bonta was sworn in as the 34th Attorney General of the state of California, the first person of Filipino descent and second Asian American to occupy the position. AG Bonta's passion for justice and fairness was instilled in him by his parents, who served on the front line of some of America's most important social justice movements, instilling him in the lessons they learned from the United Farm Workers and the Civil Rights Movement. His story, Attorney Bonta's parents lit a fire inside him to fight against injustice, to stand up for those who are taken advantage of, for people who've been harmed. He fight for them. He worked his way through college and graduated with honors from Yale University and attended Yale School of Law. In state assembly, Attorney General Bonta enacted nation-leading reforms to inject more injustice and fairness into government and institution. In elected office, he has taken on powerful interest and advanced systemic change, pursuing corporate accountability, standing up for the workers, punishing big polluters, and fighting racial injustice. So without further ado, I give you Attorney General Rob Bonta. AG Bonta, the floor is yours, and thank you for coming to SDAC.
Well, the honor's mine, and good morning, everyone. Honored to be here. Thank you, Bobby, for moderating today's event. Thank you for the very generous and kind introduction, and thank you to the Statewide Disability Advisory Council for inviting me to join you virtually here today. Again, my name is Rob Bonta. I am honored and grateful to be the Attorney General of the great state of California. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am a Filipino male with silver hair, wearing a dark blue suit with a blue tie, and behind me is a light blue wall. Not a very good background here. For decades, California has been the epicenter of the disability rights movement and the home to some of the most prolific disability rights activists the world's ever seen. Ed Roberts, father of the independent living movement, who became the first person with a wheelchair to attend UC Berkeley. Eleanor Reese, who helped revolutionize California's laws about the forced use of psychotropic medications in treating patients with mental health disabilities. Judy Heumann and Kitty Cohn, who organized the longest sit-in in American history, right outside the then U.S. Department of Health, Education, and Welfare in San Francisco. The story of California's disability rights movement is inspiring, but it also is revealing. It reveals a dark, inexcusable truth that governments, including the state of California, have not always been pillars of progress. People like Ed Roberts and Eleanor Reese had to push from outside the walls of state government in order to force change. At the Department of Justice, we're committed to flipping the script. We work hard to ensure that advocates have an opportunity to make a difference outside and inside our organization. Rather than waiting for people with disabilities to come to us for ideas, we've come to them by expanding DOJ's Disability Rights Bureau and hosting California's Disability Rights Bureau convening. Rather than simply penalizing local governments after they violate legal protections for Californians with disabilities, we proactively issued guidance so that they don't violate those rights in the first place. And rather than expecting people with disabilities to conform to ableist state hiring requirements, we implemented the LEAP program so they have important accommodations to apply and thrive. We've come a long way, but we also know we can always and we must always do more. As advocates within your own state departments and agencies, I want to hear your ideas, your frustrations, and your accomplishments. Together, I know we can make our state more inclusive. So thank you all for your hard work. I look forward to learning from the wealth of experience and expertise here, what you've done to make your agencies more inclusive and ways that we can keep pushing for progress. Thanks again for having me. Looking forward to our conversation.
Great. Do you have a moment to take a question or two?
I do.
Excellent. Question number one, you mentioned that LEAP, and you briefly touched on that. Is your agency actually responsible for the implementation of LEAP, or to what extent are you involved?
We implement the LEAP program within our Department of Justice, and we do that to make sure that there are important accommodations and access. And so we can control what we can control within our department. And we know that we have more work to do. We do not yet meet the 16.6% statewide disability parity threshold. We're at 8.4%. And by creating an environment and making sure that we have, we're taking affirmative steps to be accommodating, to be supportive, to provide access, we can always do better. So we are working hard within our department to take the steps that are necessary, and we're proud of what we've accomplished. We're proud of having been recognized for some of our accomplishments. And while we have that pride, we also have the humility to know that there's more to do, and we can't do it without leaders like all of you. So if there's more that we can do, that you want us to do, we want to be good partners.
Excellent. I'm so happy to hear that you want to be good partners and you want to hear more about what can be accomplished. And we are more than happy to contribute and share our ideas. You also mentioned that you have a DOJ Disability Rights Bureau, and that's are acting in a very proactive way by preventing harm to certain segment of folks with disabilities. Is that a program exclusive to the private entity, or is it statewide? Is it affecting, does it go out and even monitor this sort of thing within the state agencies and entities? In other words, is it exclusive to private enforcement of disability rights related matters, or does it expand to the state operations as well?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Let me also just mention that, as you know, that CalHR implements LEAP, so I don't want to be unclear about that. But of course, we work as closely as we can to make sure that we are fully utilizing LEAP and making sure that we're providing opportunities to as many folks as possible. Our Disability Rights Bureau is something that was created in 2021, just before I took over as the appointed Attorney General at the time. My predecessor, Javier Becerra, in his wisdom and with his vision, created it to help prioritize the work of the office and to really put a stake in the ground around the importance of promoting access and accommodation. And to your question about to whom it applies to public entities for sure, as well as private entities, anyone who is governed by the rules and requirements around proper accommodation and access for our community with disabilities. And some of the things that we've been working on, I think, paint a picture of the breadth and variety of work that we do. Generally, the Bureau works to ensure that the rights of persons with disabilities are advanced through specific investigations and litigation, and it builds on the Civil Rights Enforcement Section's work to vindicate the rights of those with disabilities on issues including discrimination in education, healthcare, employment, access to public services, and law enforcement. And in recent years, the Bureau took action at every level, from investigating and suing a school district in San Bernardino County for systemic discriminatory treatment of students with disabilities. It opposed challenges to the ADA and Section 504 through amicus briefs to make sure that the protections are not scaled back or watered down. It supported regulations to strengthen and improve Section 504. We secured a settlement with the Stockton Unified School District and its police department to address system-wide violations of civil and constitutional rights of students with disabilities. So, and then recently we issued guidance letters to remind local officials, as I referenced earlier, of key legal protections for Californians with disabilities. So we cover quite a range, and we touch a lot of places and spaces where we hope to have a positive impact on our community with disabilities.
Terrific. Thank you so much. do we have any questions for Attorney General here from the audience? If there are questions, either you can post it in chat or raise your hand and unmute.
Hi, Bobby. This is Susan. I just put it in the chat to ask if we could get links and emails to the agencies you were speaking of, AG Bonta, and also other places that we could contact to participate in the conversation about topics of interest to the disability community. So I'm a data person. I work in IT, and one of the things I did want to ask about, and I don't know if this is an area that you would have information on, I notice in the trends when it comes to disability related prosecutions or legal matters, that often it goes in favor of the employer, not the employee. Are you aware of those statistics? Do you have any comment on that, or is that not your area to talk about? I would understand if I'm getting kind of into the weeds, because that's what I do.
I'm interested in those statistics and would like to perhaps better understand whether they're national statistics or California specific, and as well as what sort of universe or variety of lawsuits they are. We always are on the side of civil rights and enforcing existing protections for our disabilities community. And some of the actions that we've taken, I think, show that. Of course, we also seek compliance and implementation of the protections and accommodations before there's any violation. So I think there's a lot of different dimensions to the picture, but certainly would be interested in seeing the data and drilling down into it, and to sort of understand what the takeaways are and how it might inform action going forward.
Sounds like I need to follow up and send an email to wherever you send the contacts to have a conversation, because I don't want to start. I've looked at a lot of different areas to get the statistics, and I don't have them in front of me, and I hate bringing up stuff like that when, but it does sound like that's something that is interest to your team and your area about that observation.
Very much
Good
so.
to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for the request for the contact information. I want to make sure my team puts it in the chat here. We do have Damon Brown.
Damon Brown
as
just
my
posted.
lead, who put his email in the chat. So always important to have a point of contact. Damon's your person, so please follow
Will
up.
do. I'm excited. Sounds like a great conversation.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Attorney General Bonta. I know you have limited time, and have been very generous by showing up and sharing information about what is it that your department is doing. I'm really encouraged to hear that you're aware of the disability parity rate, and that there's some work to be done within your department, and just the awareness itself is a big step forward in bridging that gap. So I'm happy to hear that. So thank you once again for showing up, and thank you, Damon, for helping with the contact information. And both of you and the rest of you have yourself a fantastic day and happy holidays.
Thank you. Honor's mine. Thank you for having me. We're again proud of what we've accomplished, but know there's much more to do and can only make more progress with you.